Hello, everybody. This is Jan from Beluga and Locklunch, and today I have the pleasure to have three excellent professionals here on board for a very special session I have been working on and hoping for a long time, which is netiquette in Africa. As you all know, this personal passion for me. I think Africa is going to be very, very big, and with Locklunch, we are trying to start connecting the dots. And today I have three, as I said before, excellent ambassadors from our Locklunch community here to discuss how is networking working in Africa. May I ask you to present yourself? Linda, do you want to start?
Okay. Hello, Jan. Hello, Christelle and Darlene. I am Linda Stephanie In from Burkina Faso. I'm a trained translator and I'm currently working as a translator, localizer, interpreter, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys.
Excellent. Christelle.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Christelle Zami. I am from Togo, Togo national, but I'm currently living far from home. I'm currently in Tanzania. I work as a freelance interpreter and translator and as an educational consultant. And as John rightly said, I am the Locklunch co-ambassador for Accra. Nice meeting you. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks a lot for being with us. And last but not least, Darlene.
Hello, everybody, and happy to be here with you guys. My name is, thank you, Darlene Jarma. I'm a conference interpreter translator from Cameroon and based in Cameroon. I've been working for some years now in the freelancing domain with some companies in and out of the country. And I'm really happy to have you guys here, and I hope we all are going to learn at the end of this little netiquette. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks a lot. We have 45 minutes in total, already a couple of minutes for this introduction. So let's dive into the topic of our session today, netiquette. So what is netiquette, by the way? Netiquette, what I understand, is the way how we do business online, the internet, and etiquette is the flavor of doing business with other people. So as everybody knows, this is we are in the localization industry. So localization is very important also in this space. And I would love to start maybe with Christelle. You know, how is netiquette? How do you understand netiquette in your personal life and from Accra, Ghana point of view right now?
Currently, thank you very much, first of all, for giving me the floor. And I do agree with you when you talk about netiquette, the definition of netiquette that you just gave. So netiquette is seen as a word made of two parts. The first part being network and the other part being etiquette. And we know that there is a lot of transaction going on online currently because of globalization. A lot of people interact together. So for this convention to take place and to occur smoothly, there is a need to ensure that there are conventions. And among the conventions that we can talk about, there are codes of conduct. And for example, we need to learn how to be kind to people. We have to know how to interact with them. We have to think about the kind of words we have to use, because contrary to a physical conversation that we can have online, there is not always a possibility of seeing the people we are interacting with. So it's very important for us to be extremely careful about the kind of things we put there, the kind of statement we make. And sometimes, of course, though how can I visit the smiley faces we add to our statements are helping, we don't really know how people behind it are going to perceive it. In the Ghana context, for example, because I'm quite familiar with the Ghana context and Togo because I'm coming from both countries, we are very careful when it comes to interacting with people, especially with people of different ages. If you're interacting with the person who is older than you, you have to be careful about the way you approach the person. If the person has a higher position to you, you have to be careful also about the way you talk to the person. For example, I can address you as Yan, but that would not always be the case in a Ghanaian context, because I can just afford just calling people anyhow with their first name. I have to first of all find out whether the person is comfortable with me calling him or her this way. So, or if the person is not, then I have to add maybe like Mr. this or that, or Madam this and that, to make them feel comfortable. Because we value people's title, we value people's position. It's very key for us in case you want to have a smooth relation with somebody or anybody at all in doing business later, maybe.
So this is super interesting. I love this aspect. And when we had our preparation call, I asked you to give an example, right? You know, so if you as a translator now wants to do business with a direct client, a buyer, how would you, the vendor manager, for example, you approach a vendor manager, how would you, is there any difference? I mean, the way you address him right now?
Of course.
It's me. I'm Jan Hinrichs. I'm the vendor manager for you. How would you address me? Yeah.
Definitely. So before anything at all, before any convention, before even engaging in any business at all with you, I would definitely address you in a formal way. This is the first approach. So, hello, Mr. Jan Hinrichs. How are you doing? This is Miss Crystal or Madam Crystal, whatever I am. I'm Miss Crystal, by the way, Crystal Zami. And I'm very excited about you contacting me for this and that business. And I would like to further this collaboration with you. So in everything I thought that I will be doing, I always have to ensure that I underscore the fact that you are a Mr. or a Sir for me in the beginning. And little by little, if you tell me openly that you would like us to call each other by our first name or our family name, then we can carry on. But formality is very key for us when we meet somebody for the first time. Yeah.
That is super interesting. Darlene, how would you want to be addressed from a stranger?
Personally talking, I don't have a problem being addressed by my name, not the surname, because as Christelle mentioned, we are in a globalized world, and each time we try to adapt ourselves to the other cultures without oppressing our own cultures. In our context, it is to add that hierarchy identification, like Mr. Thank you, to give you more respect, especially if you want to go further in business or any other things with him. And is honored in front of you before talking other things. Some feel frustrated when they are called just with their name, because for them it's we grew up in a world where our traditions give us the culture to respect the elders, no matter who they are, them poor, be them at the top level management of a company, but everybody deserves a respect. But personally, people choose to accept either to be respected or just called, because they don't consider not using an identificator as disrespect. You are just calling them, and they are proud to be called like that.
Yeah, I think respect is something we always have to put first, no matter whom we are dealing with, a friend, a family member, or even or a client, or a provider. I think respect is a basis for everything, and what you say is very interesting, especially because I think that many people do not understand very well how the naming conventions are in the different countries. I mean, in Germany, it's Jan first name, Hinrichs last name, and of course we address each other with Mr. Hinrichs, but then you go to, and if you go to tech, it is very rare that somebody says, hey, Mr. Hinrichs, right? It's like, oh, sorry, me? Is it me? I'm Jan, you know, come on, I'm 42 years old. So don't treat me with like my last name because it sounds so formal. But I think, you know, as we saw in the introduction, thank you, Darlene, is the family name first, and then your first name, your common name coming there. So this is like with Asia, where we have this family name first and then the last name. And I think there's a lot of confusion. Linda, can you tell any kind of, you know, experience for you, for your name? Is there anything, or have you met any of these things when dealing with not familiar people?
Yeah, I think like there's always a confusion. For me, it's easier because like when someone sees Linda, they know it's my first name. So it's much more easier for people to address me. But on the other hand, when I face people, I don't know how to go about it. I don't know if I should go about like, because for instance in Burkina Faso we say Linda, we don't say Linda. So it's like being used to how people do it and so on, that I started, okay, whenever I'm dealing with international people, I go by Linda. Yeah, you see, but people are somehow confused, and especially because I have three names, so they are confused. Like, which one is your first name? Which one is your surname? And so on. So it's kind of tricky, but I prefer like always asking.
Okay.
Asking first, like, how can I call you, please? Because it's really difficult to find out which one is the first name, the surname. For me, I thought Jan was your family name, like your surname.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
Jan is my first name. Right. This is just these confusions in international naming conventions.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing that. So we're talking netiquette. So this is in LinkedIn. We're all living, you know, in LinkedIn. Lock Lunch is very LinkedIn, and I would love to learn more, and that you tell our audiences a little bit, you know, what is networking look like in your respective countries. We have Cameroon here, we have Burkina Faso, we have Togo and Ghana. So who wants to start? Who wants to grab the paddle?
I would like to start.
Go for it.
The conversation is particularly interesting because we are getting to understand different perspectives and different ways of seeing things and viewing things, or even living things. The first thing that I would like to point out here is that networking has always existed in Africa, but maybe we didn't have that calling, networking. But how did it exist? In the first place, Africa lives in collaboration. We collaborate a lot in everything we do. For example, my mom used to tell me that story that she remembers when they were young, growing up, whenever they want to build the house of somebody, the whole community will gather and they will agree on how the house is supposed to be built, what are the things that they have to do together, we're supposed to do what. And once they have the convention, they will move on into doing whatever they have to do. So you see, this is actually networking. They come together. Exactly. So community is very key. Everything, most of the things that we do in Africa, especially the traditional Africa, used to revolve around collaboration, community ways of living. So little by little, of course, like recently, because of globalization, the term like networking is more emphasized on. And you see that different people will talk about networking on social media. And of course, we said it in the very beginning, even throughout all the conversation that we had, that Africans are trying to adjust to the way of living of people around the world, because like contrary to what some people can think, Africans are not really computer savvy or maybe like phone savvy. We know a lot when it comes to technology. You realize that
I just wanted to say exactly like this. No, by no way. Right.
That's the funniest part, because you see that a lot of people are using phones in Africa, and this is what is surprising, because like there are some people who know how to use gadget in Africa, or even more than some other people coming from other continents. It actually shows the level of opening that we are having nowadays. So the opening is actually forcing us to redefine the way we network in Africa. We do it more often on social media, and you have, like, for example, we have LinkedIn as well, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, where we can get to know people that you don't really know much about, and you can start engaging in business. So it's not only about like getting friends, as it used to be, even like everywhere in the world. Using the very beginning, when we started with computer things, it was more or less about having pen friends. Like you have the pen and so on and so forth. And little by little, we started moving from this trend into really collaborating with people business-wise. And once you feel like somebody has the same interest as you have, from wherever the person is, you feel like, okay, we can still try and do business. Though I might say something, but in Africa, we prefer all the time, like, to see the people we want to interact with, or maybe to involve in when it comes to business. So for example, I see you, Jan, of course, before I can even start with you, I need a certain number of things to be put in place. As time goes on, I can tell you, okay, I need to see you in order to be sure that you are a real person, I can trust you, before involving in anything at all. COVID-19 actually forced us as well to adjust to this trend, because like meeting online, networking with people online was okay because we're doing it already, but we used to prefer seeing the person personally before we start engaging in serious matters. So this is generally what I can see and say for now. Definitely, I will give the floor to other people to add something before I come back and achieve it. Thank you.
Excellent. Who want to chime in? Darlene, I see you nodding.
I want to say that Christelle almost said everything, and I believe, as she mentioned, networking is part of our culture, because from the community level to school and to the professional spheres, people network every day. They are fond of meeting new friends, collaborating with them, be it for play or other things, but we feel ourselves, we easily go with people, and we don't need a special opportunities. And to give you an anecdote, I was reading recently a post on Cameroon whereby they'll tell you that in Africa, you will see many men around bottle of beers, but they don't know their names, but they are discussing like they've been seeing themselves for years. That's just a part of the networking idea we had. And at the end of the day, you will realize that many contracts were signed at that particular moment. Many ideas were created at that particular moment. Now, coming to the online networking, I believe technology is fast growing and Africa had to adapt. And generally, what Africans do, and Cameroonian per se, is that they try to find their network around people they know first. When I come to LinkedIn, I need to look for Linda. I see what Linda is doing, but you never see them going directly, say, no, I've seen Beluga. I'm sure Jan is the CEO. Let me go and talk. No, we like to observe how things have been done before we take a step. That's how network is being done. And as I was telling the other day with Gabriela from Nigeria, my own experience with Local Launch was to mobilize my friend first, which are my first network, and to tell them, man, let's come, let's have a place where we can easily exchange our ideas around we have been criticizing. Now let's build something particular in a certain frame, and we can share it with our leaders later. And so that's all I can say about networking in Africa and precisely in Cameroon. Let me give the floor to Thank you.
So one of the things you said before was like this natural being open for networking, right? So this is a strong attitude, because it's not the attitude of all societies out there.
Exactly.
But I recall, if you can just relate a little bit more on that, so that in people in Cameroon and Burkina Faso and Africa in general have a very open attitude to networking, right? So it's not that it takes a long time to build up rapport. Like you said, Christelle. So that rapport and trust is of course necessary, but you are very open to discover these kind of possibilities from the other side, right? Can you relate a little bit more on that, Darlene, maybe, and then afterwards, Linda?
Yes, I'd like to take another example. Generally, as for me, whenever I have to send an email, I always have this welcoming formula. I hope you're doing great, which is not always shared everybody. Just to show you the level at which we find ourselves easily relating with others. And that's how we do it in a natural way. That's it. If I network with you, you will feel that at a certain time, I take you easily like my friend. Because I believe, as you mentioned, we are all humans and we share the same values. And for me, once I see trust and everything, I go in without looking behind. That's one of the particularities we have in our context.
And Linda, do you want to add something about these mentalities thing of networking?
Yes, of course. Because like, first of all, Africa is, let me say, is the continent where networking is of a paramount importance. It's always about who you know. So you cannot just stay and say, okay, I'm going to stay here and you do things. No, whenever you're doing business, anything you're doing, you need to know people. And that's why we are, let me say, we have an easy contact. So we are open to meeting new people. And I think even those that are not really online, they network more than we do during weddings, during celebrations, and so on. And let me say, for students, it's during conferences and so on. So there's always an opportunity to network. And it's even better when you move across Africa. So you network more. Lately, I was laughing about something. I was like, my friends, whenever they need something in another country, let me say Nigeria, Algeria, Cameroon, they call me and they're like, Linda, don't you know someone in Kenya and so on? Because like you know everybody. So I just laugh. It's not that I know everybody, but at least I know someone that knows someone that knows someone. So it's all about it. If you are an African and you don't know people, you are not an African. So I think that's the first definition of an African. An African likes going to people, meeting people. Like as Darlene rightly said, you can meet people around the beer. They don't know each other, but they are networking, and that's the best part of it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add. And yeah,
it is this being open for first contact and then develop partnerships. And Christelle, you were talking about partnerships before, so maybe you can give our Log World audience a little bit an insight about what is in the minds of Africans when Westerners or Asians or whoever from foreign come and want to do business in Africa. What shouldn't we do? Maybe what shouldn't we do, or what should we do? Whatever you want to take, whichever line you want to take.
Of course, as any human interactions, there are always do's and don'ts. So I'm going actually to start with the don'ts, and then later on I'll move on to the do's, because the do's are my favorite parts because that's exactly how you're going to meet your objective as well. So let's start from the do's, the don'ts. Africa for several years have been belittled, and people feel like Africans are just people we have to always support. They are people we don't really know what they stand for. They are people we don't know exactly what they're looking for. Meanwhile, there are great opportunities. There are great people with great mind in Africa. So as an investor or maybe an entrepreneur or anybody at all coming to Africa, they should have at the back of the mind that now there is a new generation in Africa, a new generation looking for more opportunities. But this opportunity is actually a kind of win-win partnership. This is very important to keep it in mind. So that means that actually when I'm coming as a foreigner in Africa, I first of all have to understand the African culture. What are some of the things that they are looking forward to? Young people, for example, want to work. They're also like very intelligent, they are smart, they are creative. So whenever you come in with a project, the project should actually meet the expectation of this youth. Once it does, they are really going to support you in whatever you're doing. But when it doesn't, you feel like that is really not, that's far behind. This actually what you're trying to show us is something we can actually do. So don't really come with something that you're not really interested in. Come with something they're truly, truly interested in. So every investors coming to Africa should have it at the back of his or her mind. This is the downs. And secondly, before I move to the do's, I would like to remind everybody, or maybe underscore the fact that in Africa, the sense of hospitality and solidarity is very important in such a way that when you're coming to set your business, don't come and try and do it on your own. Try and find people who can support you locally. They are the only people who can explain to you how things work locally, where you are supposed to go for what. We know that red tapeism is a general issue. Worldwide, we all face red tapeism, where you have to submit documents, it can take a long time, and so on and so forth. In Africa, it also exists, just like it exists everywhere around the world. But in order for you to be able to not to be disappointed, you really you have to go through the right channel by really meeting the right people who will help you through the process. Now, coming to the do's. The do's are this. Whoever is coming to Africa should learn to appreciate the African culture. If possible, try and learn the African language, because Africans value their language. And we know that language is incorporated in culture. There is no culture without language. So once you come, here, for example, I'm taking a random example here. I'm living in Tanzania, where they speak Kiswahili. And even in Togo, we speak Ewe. And Ewe is widely spoken in Togo. So when you come as a foreigner, and even if you can't speak and you have somebody who speaks the language, it makes things easier. You see that automatically people will feel like, oh my gosh, he's really interested in us, is interested in our culture, so we can trust that person. So trust started getting built here. I hope you get it. So it's as if you come and then you feel like, okay, I'm not really interested in the language, it's too difficult, let me just speak the normal language. Of course, we have official languages, but trying to put one or two words in the local languages is already a plus for whoever you are to discuss with. And also the sense of respect. You always have to respect other people you want to deal with. Listen to people's opinion is very key. Even if this is your project, you came up with the whole project set up, devised, at least you really have to listen to whoever you want to partner with. And by doing that, by listening to them, even if they feel like the ideas are bad, try to listen to them. Try to address whatever they are saying in order for them to understand that you value my opinion. That's the only way the new generation, especially because I'm underscoring that part. The new generation of Africans are really opening, they're opening their mind. They are open-minded as well. So in such a way that they will welcome all the great ideas, which is going to improve Africa, the African ways of living. But if you don't take into consideration their way of viewing things, automatically they won't really be receptive to whatever you bring in Africa. So this is one of the 2 points that I wanted to underscore. And I think, there is also that idea of taboo. There are some taboos in Africa that we don't really want to take for granted. You know, they will tell you when you come and greet an elder, you have to remove your hat, you have to address yourself, or maybe address the person in a certain way. You have to show respect. You have maybe to bend down. In some cultures, in some villages in Africa, you can greet the person standing up. You have to greet an elder by bending a little bit, showing some kind of respect. So once you understand those like conventions, it makes like easier, even in business. It's not only like in the social life. Social aspect also can be extended to business. So you have to take into consideration these little things, and life will be easier for whoever is coming. So I will stop here for now and give the floor to my co-ambassador. Definitely, I'll come back and add in some food points. Yeah.
This reminded me so much on, you know, this thing that interpreters are the cultural ambassadors, right? Exactly. Because you are just in this intersection between one culture and another, and this is your job, right? This is a job to make this connection happen. Any one of you want to add a small story around that of your personal interpretation, background where you have made this connection happen, or where you saw, gosh, this is too much, too far away. They will never understand each other, right? Is there any story you want to share here, Linda, Darlene?
Not really a story. Yeah, about that, but I just wanted to add something little about what Christelle said, is that whenever you come to Africa, the mistake people do is to take Africa as a whole. Africa is not a country. That's what the person should bear in mind. Africa has 54 countries. So whenever you go to a country, you should adapt whatever you want to do to that country. Because my culture is not Christelle's culture, it's not Darlene's culture. So you really need to adapt it to that country so that things work. So that's something very important we should bear in mind, and so on. And as an interpreter, I think, let me say, it was not for the story. I just remembered something. Yeah, and so when I was studying in Nigeria, you see, Anglophone students will come. They don't speak Arabic and so on. And the administration, they don't speak French. They don't speak English, sorry. So they were always calling me that, Linda, please, can you help me? At that time I was still struggling with my small English. So I had to listen to them, their native speakers, and let the administration understand, so that they give them rooms and so on, accommodation and so on. So this thing, I was like, at first, it cannot work, because like we have different cultures. For instance, in Algeria, it's an Arabic country. You cannot be wearing some kind of clothes. And this thing, these Anglophone new students were not really understanding it. So it was like the collaboration was quite difficult. So every time I had to go to the rooms to explain that the administration is telling you not to do this and that. And I had to go to the administration and explain, okay, this girl said that no, they cannot eat such food because they're not used to it. You see, so I think, like, when you are, let me say, a language service provider, you are a kind of bridge. You should like solve these impossible problems and make things happen. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Darlene, we're waiting on your experience.
Thanks, Jan, for giving me the floor. As part of my experience, I had to ease the communication between some Russian, American instructors in my country for a training for the Blue Helmets in Central Africa. And it was quite a tough job because they didn't understood what the Cameroonian culture was. They drafted a teaching program whereby they had to teach for 45 minutes and give a break, and teach for 5 minutes and give a break. So when they met the trainers, the Cameroonian trainers they told them that no, you are weakening the troops. If they just study, you have to give them like 1 hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours, 30 minutes. And they were like, how come a mind will get something? And we had to explain them that if you don't impose that it is your that even the trainees will accept, because it is part of our culture. You know, we like to be, and moreover, they were working under extreme temperatures. It was really hot. And when they were looking at us, Cameroonian, moving quietly, enjoying the sun, and they were like, wow. But we all these are some parameters which enters in facilitating language. It was better for them to understand what the culture is and try to draft a program according to the to how things are done in this site. And they had a hard time training this personnel, because whenever they would suggest this, they would say, no, we have to suggest this. And you know, each party wants to propose its own, and there is a cultural shock. And at the end of the day, we try to find a middle and try to train the people. So those are experiences I had. And I also had another experience whereby I had to explain to somebody that generally when you are going to the field, in our context, you are not expected to be invited when you want to.
Oh,
We
we
are
lost
losing.
Aline.
Yeah.
Really. But I think that I love the points that Darlene underscored, talking about, for example, the timing and some other cultural clashes. Yeah, Darlene, I think Darlene is back.
Now we lost you for a second.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What level, please?
The last 30 seconds. No, 10 seconds.
Going to the field and not expecting.
Going to the field, exactly.
Zami can go on. I want to check a little bit my network.
No problem, that is fine. So actually, I was saying that, Jan, right now, I was saying that I totally agree with Darlene when it comes to timing and some of the cultural clashes that we can avoid. Let me give you a small example of Africans when it comes to time management, especially during conferences, whether it is like doing an international conference or whatsoever. The time can be like, for example, 1 hour, 30 minutes. That's your contract, maybe as an interpreter or a translator, to work within that time frame. But unfortunately, in Africa, it's very key for us to go through the greeting aspect. There is no way we can say that, okay, because we are already late, we skip the greeting part. Greeting is very important for us. And now, for example, you invite somebody who is like, I don't know, a chief in a village or somewhere. They have to go through the speech, but before they start the speech, they have to maybe like state some proverbs, some saying, which is also a cultural aspect. There is no way you should expect the person to cut his speech short because we are behind time. This is these are the steps that needs to be followed, for example. So I think I found like this in an example that I wanted to say to give quickly. I found myself in a meeting where we're supposed to spend like 2 hours. We ended up spending 3 hours just because of this kind of issues. Because it was online, we're having like that issue with network. Some people I found it difficult to come online. But then we still had to follow the different steps, which are the greeting and everything that has to be done was done that day. So those are some of the little differences that everybody has to bear in mind, because in such a way that you are not shocked when you come and then instead of 2 hours, you find yourself doing 2 hours, 30 minutes, because it's important for us to go through this. There is no way we can do without it. And there's also another aspect that I also noticed in every African country I've been, apart from, of course, maybe Cameroon, maybe Darlene we come in, Cameroon and in Cote d'Ivoire, for example. Cameroonians and Ivorians are straightforward people. Like, for example, they will tell you how they feel about some of the things you're doing. If they don't agree with you, straight to the point, they will be telling you. And sometimes it's true that they might lack tact, which is very important in convention and stuff. But they don't really mean bad, because after all, they want to convey a message. They want to tell you exactly how they feel. But when you go to another country like Togo, my country of origin, Togolese are a bit reserved when it comes to expressing. They are always mindful of how people will feel. Though they can try their best to tell you how they feel about what you did, but they will be extremely careful about the way they will put it in such a way that you're not hurt. You see, so just imagine during a conference, you're an interpreter who grew in that with that background, where you are not straightforward, you're not harsh or rude, and somebody is making a statement and the person is being rude. You see how difficult it can be as an interpreter. So finding the balance, can be quite tricky, because you have to be extremely careful about the word you will choose, the terms you will choose, and make sure that you are faithful to the message while respecting also anybody's dignity and avoiding conflict. So those are the kind of challenges like we can face at times when you are in conferences in some of the countries around.
Love that one. We have like a few minutes left, so I would love to sum up in a certain way, and to have everybody like, giving our audience today a glimpse of what is the right way to go to market, right? Just sum up your experience, what you feel personally as, this is how I would love to do business tomorrow with you. So if this is not a too big challenge, I would love to, that everybody just sum up a little bit this point of view. Hey, if you want to do business with me, like do this, and this, and I would love to be there.
That's fine. Darlene, Linda, do you want to take a head start or?
Yeah, I think I want to go. Let's give some points about it. So as I mentioned before, the first thing to do is to do a kind of cultural check. So that's the first thing. Myself, when I was about to launch my firm in Burkina, my country, I had to do a kind of study to find out what is working and what is not. Who can I who can be my audience and who is not my audience. So this is very important. I think that's the first step, like when you want to go to business, especially in Africa. So you do a kind of check. You check like how to say your audience, the culture, the needs, because you cannot just come and provide a service that people don't need. So you really need to bring something that will be really helpful for them so that they'll go into it very easily. And the second thing is be mindful of who you connect with. Because like if you go, let me see, you go in a country, an African country, in any country, and you don't network with the right people, you are going to just lose everything. So just be mindful of who you connect with. That's of a paramount importance. Like try to find experts in the domain, like undertake studies, find out who is great in the domain, who can help me out, and so on. Yeah. So that's it. And the last thing I want to add is that just tell yourself that the the Africans, yes, but they're also human beings. So the way you treat, let me say, your compatriot is the same way you should treat an African. It's true that you should be mindful of his or her culture, but just like when you have a conversation, let me say, it should be a B2B conversation. You should not like think the person is not understanding what is going on and so on, because somehow the person might be smarter than you. So it's really important to just take everybody as a human being, and things are going to work, because when they feel that trust, when they feel you give them that value they have, everything is going to work perfectly. But when you try to play it in a way, things are just going to fall apart. So that's it. Thank you.
So good words. Thanks a lot. Yeah, great final words. Who's next? Ladies first.
Yeah, sure. I can go ahead. So thank you so much, Linda. And there are a few points that you mentioned that I totally agree with. For example, it's very important when you want to come to Africa for a business, not to really have set your expectations too high. I feel like we can take baby steps slowly but surely. So you can start little by little, not try to start too big. Why is it so important? Because you need to build people confidence and trust. But how does it work? First of all, you have to ensure that you think about the impact that whatever business or whatever activity you're going to set in Africa has an impact on the society. Once you do that, Africans like factual things. They don't really like virtual things. So you keep on talking, this is how it's going to be. But what proves that it's going to be this way? So when you take baby steps and then they feel that whatever you're doing has an impact, a positive impact on the society, you won't even need to advertise anymore. They will talk for you. They will do the advertisement for you. So this is how it works in Africa. So everybody coming has to get that sense of transparency, collaboration. Accountability is also key, because everywhere across Africa, we are laying emphasis now on accountability. Though it has been lacking for some years, now we are becoming conscious of the fact that whatever is coming here has to be followed up. You don't just come for the sake of coming, doing whatever one wants. There should be a sense of responsibility and accountability. Also, we need to build skills and knowledge. So whatever business somebody is coming to set in Africa should come with that idea of building people's capacities, building the knowledge. Am I coming to bring something to Africans? Am I going to help them improve? Am I going to build a capacity, make them more knowledgeable? Those are the kind of things that Africans are looking for, especially the young generation. So once somebody comes with that in mind, it's really going to work. It's important to also be honest. And when we talk about honesty, it's all about in terms of performance. How do you deal with the people you're working with? You want to hire people. You are not fair to them in terms of remuneration. You want to treat them as if they're nobody, meanwhile they're rendering services. So trust is built throughout these little things that sometimes we neglect. Is by doing it, by being fair and honest, that people will follow up. The advertisement will follow suit. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I think this is very interesting. Good words, Darlene.
Yes.
Finally, 2 minutes we have left. I have to be a little bit strict, otherwise the Log World team will kill us. Go ahead.
I was saying that I don't have much to say. Just to summarize what the two co-ambassadors said, to build a business in Africa, you have to understand, you have to create network and start the business. Networking is important because in my country, for example, if you are alone, it will be very difficult for you to create a company because since especially a company in the linguistic services, Cameroon being a bilingual country, you know, we tend to believe that we are all translators, interpreters, and even company CEOs, they don't see the need to employ someone. If they have a secretary who can speak English and French, it's okay. They can do the job. So those are things you need to understand in the environment, the business environment, and you try to relate the people who already underwent the same process. They had the pain of creating a business in Africa, whereby they can give you tips on how to easily go about creating a business in Africa. And with that, you are able to start, and you should be patient because patience is a key word in Africa. If you are too in a haste, you end up losing money and losing your time. In Africa, you take your time to observe and in order to plant a business that will flourish in future. Thank you.
This sounds like farming, right? We have to have the farmer mindship. So we have this plant and grow it little by little, care about it. Amy, Christelle, what you said, we need to bear in mind the ecosystem impact from what we're doing. We need to take the respect, Linda, you have been mentioning before, and then we can grow this partnership.
Yeah.
Long-term partnership, which is so important. And I think there's so much to win from what is right now happening on the African continent. It's just the biggest change and growth wave I mentioned in our previous session. It's a huge wave building up, and we need to network. We have Locked Lunch there. We have you guys there. Our audience today, please take notes. Christelle is there. Darlene, Linda, all open to discuss, to bring the conversation, to start this networking, to connect people, and to enable this discussion, which is needed to grow your plans on a long-term horizon. So thanks a lot. It was a super interesting session today. I'm super grateful for all your insights you have shared with us. So thanks a lot. And Log World, here we are. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, everybody.
That was great. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.